Okay, so this next video, I want to talk about companies, and I'm going to flip between these two here, though there are many more, by the way. So don't think that it's just about these two companies. I'm just going to talk about something they do that is quite interesting, and yet it works. I mean, for them, I don't know if I like it or if I just accept it or what, but you can comment in the bottom about your feelings on this too. And that is companies that decide to put out the same OS on older devices as well as the newer devices to appease basically their fans or the people that support them. They put out these devices, and the only thing they do is add a few features that supposedly enrich the workflow. So we're talking about workflow, and we're talking about feature versus features. Okay. This same workflow that's on this MPC Live, trying to get that thing off, that's on the MPC Live 3 can be on your MPC Live 2 and on your MPC Live 1. So think about it for a second. The only reason to upgrade is because you want the colors, these MPE pads, maybe this slider, or perhaps the step sequencer, or the internals that you don't see, which is just speed, right? So why should I go out and buy this? Maybe even the microphone for those that don't know that the microphone exists down there. Um, so why should I go out and buy this? Couldn't I hook a microphone to it? Technically, there is a step sequencer built in that doesn't have buttons. And as far as this fader here, most of the time you're using it for note repeat or maybe adjusting the volume on certain notes. So it's a little bit quicker. It speeds up the workflow, and the feature is primarily based on that. But let's not stop there because this is just music. Let's go over to Apple. They're guilty of this too. And I say guilty, meaning they do it. It doesn't mean that they're wrong for doing it. It's just what they do. They will put out the iPhone, the next iPhone, and literally it's the same OS that goes on the 16 and the 15 and the 14, and it's the same OS. They may change the cameras, the colors of the device, and they may add one or two other little features that go in there, and then they charge you an arm and leg for it. And it's nothing wrong with that. That's their choice, what they charge. Again, nothing wrong with it. Another company that similarly did this, that everybody kind of talks down on, unfortunately. I don't think you should talk down on them. They're making money, and if you were able to make the money doing it, you should do it too. But if you look into TE, here's an example of where they released these already in a colorway, and now they re-release them in a colorway with the same thing. It's just black versus white. Or the OPXY, which is basically the same thing. Let's go to their products page. As the OPZ. Now, the OPZ is a different form factor. The sounds in the OPZ not even close to the OPXY. And of course, they put a lot of the the field stuff that specs it up. Now, for a lot of people, that's a big jump, and it is. That's a huge jump, right? To be able to have better sounds, multi-sampling. So they added quite a few features that make this device a more premium device for some. But is it, again, something that is for you? That's really only something you can answer. So for me, I do have the 17 Pro. Now, I upgrade my phone probably every 2 years, and I use my phone probably more than anything, even more than my MacBook, believe it or not, even though I'm sitting here recording on the MacBook. I use my phone and my MacBook probably the most. I use the iPad hardly ever. Every now and then I jump on it to do some reading or things of that nature, but it's rarely anymore to make music. I'd rather do it on the phone. It's just quicker. I always have it with me. It's smaller. I don't have to go with the iPad. I feel like I got to do a lot more, and I just don't enjoy it anymore at the moment. Maybe down the road I'll enjoy it again. Part of that is the instruments just don't appease to me. So the MacBook Pro does, and I use it. Now I'm not going to get an M5. I'm still on the M1, and I'm fine with that. I may jump to an M4 maybe in a year or so. We'll see where things go with that. I do have an Apple Watch, but I'm being honest, I've had the Ultra and I've now have the 9, and they're really the same thing. I use it for working out and keeping track of the weather occasionally because it's easier to look at this than the phone. And that's really it. So my thing is these companies are not to be faulted for anything. They're doing what business people should do, is create products that people want and try to come out with something innovative and creative. And there's nothing wrong with that. My thought process is, do you know what you're paying for? Are you paying for workflow or features? Or maybe a combination of both. But a lot of times, if you already have the previous model, you already have the features. For instance, the OS on here is, like I said, is the same OS. And I don't want to repeat this in circles, but it literally is. So if you found a Live 2 or a Live 1 for 500 or 600 bucks, you saved 1,000 by not worrying about a touch strip, a microphone on the front, some step components up here, and a few extra buttons, which means more to you. Or maybe even the MPE pads, if that, or the external memory of 8. But again, if you're sampling only, I don't think the extra memory is that big of a deal, because I think that's mostly for the people that want to use those instruments. And by the way, I've owned the 1, the 2, and the, when I say 1, I mean the Live 1, 2, 3. I've owned all of them at some point. I've owned the Key 37. I bought the Key 61, but didn't keep it. It was just too dang big. I couldn't find space for it in my room. Um, and all of them have been either sold or returned because I just didn't find it for me. That does not mean it's a bad device. It just means it didn't work for me, and that's okay. But I've also done the same with Apple phones and that too. So again, that's just me. But my point is that I had the 15. I could have stuck with the 15. The only thing I gained from getting the new one is the color, which I do love this orange. My favorite color was the green they made some years ago. I think it was on the 13. Um, there is a mag safe thing here that you can stick your mag wallet to, which I do use. And there's one button that opens the camera really quickly, which is kind of nice. Other than those buttons and the new cameras on both sides and being able to do uh, both cameras simultaneously, which is really nice feature. I gotta admit, I gotta use that in a video. I haven't done it, but it's because I'm never on screen. Um, it's really not necessary to have the new one, especially if you're not doing videos a lot and photos. If that's not your bag to walk around shooting videos and photos, don't don't do your jump unless you just have to, um, or you just want to, I guess. Again, here is, another situation where if you have the OPZ, it's not the same as the OP1 or the OPXY. It's not, but it has similar workflow, some similarities to the workflow in the sense of it's a step sequencer. That's its primary function, is step sequencing, and it's, a premium product for them, right? So you have to ask yourself, is that worth the money? Again, we're talking about workflow and features. Which one matters the most? If it's features, then you're going to be finding yourself upgrading a lot, right? Because there's always going to be one or two features that your phone doesn't have. And then to me, the problem with that is you're chasing features. If it's workflow, most of the time you have the workflow, especially with Apple and lately with Akai with the MPC stuff, it's the same workflow. If you get that workflow and you like it and it gels with you, whether it's Apple, MPC, or whoever, then just stick with it. It's the workflow that you enjoy, and you're going to have it on your device you have now, or the one maybe you want to go buy yourself a Live 2 now that the 3 is out, because you could easily afford it. It's more affordable. Whatever the case may be, again, workflow, features. Compare the two for yourself and then decide which one is best for me. Am I looking for workflow or am I looking for features? But keep in mind, those features come with a cost. When you want those premium latest features that they drop, they're going to come with a cost. Now, I can't tell a person what to do or not to do. I don't know a person's money situation, finance, and none of that. I'm not here to tell you how to spend your money. You have to figure that out. But I will say this, if you're okay with not having the latest features and you go a year, a model back, at least 1 or 2 years back, especially on the iPhone and the Apple stuff, you can get an older model of something and it still work just as good. iOS stuff is proof of that. Now, the MacBook, the M1's still good. I hear some people, and I've talked to different people that own them, that the M1 and the M3 hardly noticeable differences. That'll tell you that the M1, M2, M3 are probably so close in specs that it's not really worth upgrading unless you really need to. It would be better actually to go get the higher power M1, the older one, but the higher power, like the Max chip or something like that, with a higher spec, than to go get an M3 with a lower spec of memory. And because with Apple, you can't change the memory. So you got to keep that in mind when you're buying. So my point is, know who you are and what you need and what you want, right? If you understand that, then when you're buying this stuff, you can make a more educated decision. And that's what it comes down to. Am I, do I know who I am, what I want, and am I making an educated decision? I always tell people, do your research. You can listen to me or you can listen to other people, but do your research because it's going to help you make wise choices. All right, that's it for this video. I'll see you on the next.